I'm Jim Dolan from Pride of Irons, and we're back with another show. We missed the last week because we couldn't find any Fulham fans. So, the last 2 weeks, no Fulham fans, and it was an England game. Alas, never mind. Put that to the back of your minds. We are joined, as usual, with Rob, Mr. Robert Bish.
Hello.
Coming from rainy southwest England.
Wiltshire.
That's it, Wiltshire. Always forget.
Wiltshire.
And we're joined today. And we're joined today by Callum from Rainbow Blades, Sheffield United's LGBT supporters group. Hello, Callum. How you doing?
I'm good. Yes, thanks for having us on.
Oh, thanks for joining us. It's been a bit weird, isn't it, Rob, not having one of these for 2 weeks, not having any football chat?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been bored. I've been talking to my wife, and she absolutely hates it. So
I thought that was going to sound like you were slagging her off there for a moment, but no, it's very good. Fair enough. So, Callum, before we get started, do you want to just give us a bit about yourself, like your background and why you support Sheffield United?
Yeah, so I'm, as you may well tell, an adopted son of Yorkshire. I'm not a native from here. That brings its own slang. I'm originally Scottish. So I started following Sheffield United in about 2013 while I was in Glasgow. So I've only recently moved to Sheffield. It's kind of aligned quite well with the kind of the English team I've supported for a while and a job in Sheffield. So yeah. And
that's curious then. So you started supporting them before you lived there. We've got to know why. Why Sheffield United?
If you speak to Scottish people, most Scottish people will have an English team. And sometimes it makes sense. So Rangers fans tend to support Chelsea. There's some, yeah, I know, we'll not get into that. There's other links. There's two of my friends that randomly support Arsenal for absolutely no reason. Now, I like Sheffield and came down here quite a lot through various sports. I used to be a fencer, which makes me sound a lot more pretentious than I am. so the cross swords and the logo and that kind of just came into being, and I quite like them. I mean, we were in League One at the time when I was starting watching games, and they were quite an entertaining team to watch. So,
okay, fair enough. Cool. So let's get on with the main questions of the show. And first one, usually I ask, what have you made of the start to the season? So just quickly looking back, last season, first season back. Fair to say you had a really, really good time, right? Better season than us last year.
Certainly a better season yourself. But yeah, it was brilliant. Like what a dream first season back in the Premier League. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Short and sweet.
And then this season so far.
Well, yeah, it's been a bit of a non-starter so far. The performances, we've had a tough run, especially last three games. Not to say that's any excuses for the ones before. There's been something kind of missing from the squad, but we are slowly getting better. You're seeing our performance get better, so there's hope. There's hope that we can kind of turn it around going forward.
So have you? I mean, I'm not close to Sheffield United, or well, to be honest, other clubs. I'm a bit crap in that regard. I pretty much just focus on my team. So, yeah. But in terms of your squad, has it changed much since last season? Did you manage to hold on most of those players who performed so well, or have you lost players, or is it? What do you think it is that's caused this sort of disjoint?
I'm not sure. I'll be honest. We've not lost a few, like Callum Robinson being kind of one of the kind of another kind of key fixture. We've got a few players out injured at the minute. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like we're playing as the same squad as before. But you've got the same players, but it just doesn't seem to have the same energy, the same spark. I mean, I know it's
Is it second season syndrome, do you think?
Well, I was going to ask that, but first I was just going to say, like, have you performed differently since the beginning of this season, or since like the end of the break in last season? Do you see what I mean? Because we picked up really well after the sort of first lockdown, and we've carried that momentum on. Did your performances start to turn then, or? Yeah,
well, I think so. Yeah, certainly you had a much better Project Restart than us. yeah, we really struggled in the start of Project Restart. And I think that might have affected, and also as obviously second season syndrome is well known. So whether that's got into the kind of players' minds,
It's a real
It's a
condition,
shame,
man.
isn't it? It is. It's a real.
West
But
Ham know about it so much. It's unreal.
it's a bit unfair, isn't it? Well, I mean, sport is sport. It is what it is. But for us, the break was helpful because we'd been having a torrid time. It gave Moyes a chance to settle in and kind of start to affect things a little bit. I mean, we saw how Antonio came back. But for you guys, I guess it's the opposite. You had really good momentum, I suppose. You had a good season so far under your belts, and then all of a sudden, just a stop.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems to have like completely got to them, and yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing, and I don't know whether there's a lot of talk of like if it's the kind of this eerie surroundings of empty stadiums that folk are having to play in, whether that's got to them in some way, or shape, or form, if some teams are dealing with it better. I mean, certainly if you look at the start of the Premier League, we've got the most bizarre results ever. Us losing 2-1 to Arsenal that weekend was the best, was brilliant compared to some of the other teams.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a real turnaround, and I wonder if that same psychological effect of the crowds has affected us in the opposite way. That we're not there on their backs in a way. But yeah, the results are just crazy. What was it? Was it 7-2 that Villa beat Liverpool? And then you had Spurs beating, was it Man U 6-1? And that weekend,
Wolves 4-0.
Well, but that weekend we beat Leicester 3-0, and usually you'd be like, that's got to be first on match of the day. But then every other result was just crazy. Yeah, it's been a mad season. I've got to admit, even if you put West Ham to one side for a minute, I am enjoying the fact that it is all over the place. It's just, who knows where it's going to end,
isn't it? Yeah. You must be enjoying the start of this season, though. I don't know, were you expecting it when kind of...
No.
Every pundit had us, right? So every pundit had us, they'd said that if we don't beat Newcastle in the first game of the season, we won't have any points by the end of October. So we lost to Newcastle.
Really badly as well.
And then we lost to Arsenal 1-0, but I think that wasn't a reflection. I think we deserved something out of that game. But yeah, then after that, I mean, God knows where all this came from, this energy and direction. But I think some of it has to do with the effects of Moyes having that bit of time to bed in and put his stamp on the team. And obviously there's been some players brought in as well who've made not massive expensive players. If anything, we've shipped out expensive players, but we've brought in grifters. And not grifters. Sorry, that's the wrong thing. Grafters, not grifters. We've got grafters. The players are just like switching out notes with photocopies and Moyes wallet. No, grafters who've actually just put in a shift.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's been the difference. And I guess that's where sort of the next question is for you. Like, what do you guys make of your manager? After such a great season and now with a little kind of dip in form.
Yeah, well, obviously Chris Wilder has already kind of instilled himself in his legendary status in the club, bringing us up. Most of the fans, certainly Rainbow Blades as an organisation, we say we back him. But yeah, most of the fans we are still behind him. Like, needs to give him a chance. I think we struggled. I think there's been a bit of playing about with the squad. But I still believe Wilder is the man. He knows the club, he loves the club, and for me, that's the basis of a manager that will try his hardest to get us out of debt.
Yeah. He's had a bit of money to spend, hasn't he, as well? Because you have brought in, was it Brewster the striker, and you brought in the two wing backs as well. You brought in, is it Lowe and I can't remember the other Derby lad, and obviously Berger as well. So you've actually brought some good players, I think, but. It seems like the kind of, apart from Berg, the other ones haven't really hit the ground running yet, have they?
They've really not. No, like kind of Brewster especially. Well, Aaron Ramsdale being back in number one position. He's done a cracking job. But he was in the club before, so maybe there's a bit of that. And I suppose goalkeepers kind of slot in no matter kind of where. Yeah. But certainly Brewster is. Probably fair to say we've not seen a hell of a lot for him for the money yet. But it's still new. He's still kind of coming from come from a club like Liverpool to a club where you're expected to be in the first team in Sheffield, like different setups, completely different managers. So we're hopeful that we get some money on return on the investment in Brewster.
But you see it often, don't you, at clubs where they spend money on new players, and then after a while, if they get into a bit of difficulty, the players don't hit the ground running. The manager will then kind of fall back on the players who got them to where they are, and sometimes they perform a bit better. I mean, Rob, you probably remember, right? We've had some players at West Ham who probably weren't technically the best, but again, they've got that grafting spirit, and sometimes they perform. They just they just perform better than the more expensive, technically more skillful players.
Like Jonathan Spector, Cole, Fletcher, all little players like that. Some of them just never been the kind of best, skillful, but they literally will run for 90 minutes until they've just, got no legs left. You know what I mean? And sometimes you need them type of players.
Like you Gary O'Neills and people like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, spot on. Actually, yeah.
I suppose you can't really. Yeah, you can never bang your way. It doesn't never work. You can't just invest in players.
Chelsea spent 200 million quid, and have they improved that much?
I think they're worse this season than they were last season, weren't they? In the league, I know it's only early still. It takes a while for players to bed in, but if you spend that much money, I suppose you got a chairman like him, Roman Abramovich, he's going to want results, isn't he? Big time.
Cool. So it's down to that golden question, which we've not had too many contentious ones. Spurs was an interesting one. But I always ask what the opposition fans think of West Ham. Now, exactly. given that you started supporting the Blades in 2013, maybe you'll be a little bit kinder, but I don't know.
I have been fully briefed by my fellow committee on this one. It's just an odd time for football. The whole story. But apart from that, I suppose we're not really too contentious a club. I think it was generally dark days for the Blades as well. Like, we're already at the bottom of the table. We'll not get into the discrepancies and the court cases and all that.
You were above us in the table for with how many games to go, Rob? Like, it wasn't many.
Was it 7 or something? 6 or 7?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's an interesting one, right? And it did change football. Because the rules that came out the back of it just changed everything. But one of the things I find, and I don't know if there is still a legacy of kind of dislike around Sheffield United fans. And I suppose if the shoe was on the other foot, we'd probably feel quite bitter about it as well. But when you look into the technicalities of it, it's actually quite funny that people are so angry about what happened. Because I know a lot of people think, third-party ownership, blah, blah, blah. It had nothing to do with that. And in fact, third-party ownership became banned in the rules the year after because of the Tevez scenario.
Only in England it was banned, wasn't it? It's still in other countries, yeah. So
we hadn't actually broken any rules around third-party ownership. And the two rules that we broke, I can't actually remember what they're called now. But one of them is around you're not allowed to have any outside interference around your team selection. And basically, because that guy could sell Tevez without our consent in the January transfer window, that meant he indirectly could affect team selection. So that's rule number 1 that we broke. And then rule number 2 is we didn't tell anyone about it. So those are the rules that we actually broke. So on the face of it, you're like, how
bizarre,
how bad was it?
This whole third-party ownership of players.
Like property, isn't it? Instead of a player, it's a property, like a business.
Is it though? Because all it is like you've got a person loaning a player instead of a club loaning a player. So,
it's kind of weird loaning it. So I'm like, you got this player I can borrow for you. Well, he's not doing anything this week, is he? So you might as well.
No, but at the end of the day, so
he might be cleaning your bathroom. I don't know.
So a club holds the players. Is it their license? So they have the license. Yeah. And then they can loan that to another club. And all it is it's a third-party sports entity that owns that license instead of the club.
I think it was though. They said we owned him. Do you remember? And everyone thought we actually owned him. And then when it comes to the window and he left and we got no money, everyone was like, "What's happening?"
So we got £2 million for him.
Oh,
absolute bargain. No, so what that was is that we made sure that we got the £2 million to release his license.
Oh, okay.
So that it was all above board, although obviously like 25 million quid or whatever it was at the time went straight to the third.
Was that for both of them? Was that for Mascherano as well?
Well, he barely played, didn't he? But it was the same issue that he could have been sold at any time without our consent. But yeah, so on I know that there's a lot of anger and emotion and everything around it, but the rule that we actually broke was that some other bloke could sell the player without the club saying yes. That was it. Like, it's not as nefarious as people might think.
Yeah, but you think about it at the time, though, all that information wasn't privy, was it? So no one knew that. It was
all in the papers.
Well, I don't really remember it in the papers.
Everyone focused on the rule. The fact, they broke the rules, therefore they should be docked points. And you're like, yeah, but look at the rule. But I mean, again, right, shoe was on the other foot. I would probably be pretty ticked off as well.
Understandably, isn't it? Yeah. Well, it's kind of that. If it had been another club, it would have been a less high-profile club. What would the results be? You can argue the toss, can you? But
yeah, the next season, actually, I can't remember if it was you guys or Wigan. It was one of the teams that was quite vocal about it. Actually, it could have been Fulham. I don't know. One of the teams that's quite vocal about it then got done themselves for third-party ownership, which was quite ironic. I can't remember which one. I'll look it up later.
I think it was Wigan, actually.
This is how good I am at this stuff. I don't do any research for the show at all. But then we decided to do it early today, so we're recording quite early. So I'm going to make excuses for myself. I just finished work. But it was an interesting thing, though, right? Think of it from the perspective of us, like these two amazing Argentinian internationals show up at West Ham. We're like, what happened there?
You're not going to ask any questions, are you?
No, it was a big surprise because no one knew about it at all. There was nothing about it. They just appeared one day. We're like, what's happened?
So the maddest thing about it is that we barely played Mascherano. We instead played Hayden Mullins.
Yeah,
no offense to Hayden Mullins. And then the most goals that season was scored by Bobby Zamora. And actually, he was displaced by Tevez, who took a while to get up to steam. Up to steam? That's not a phrase, is it? God, my words are all over the place today. Up to speed. So you could imagine a parallel universe where Tevez hadn't played and Zamora had actually smashed in a load more goals. And we would have been fine. But that's the thing with football, isn't it? It's full of,
personally.
I think he was. But that's the thing with football. It's full of so many like small margins and what ifs.
Yeah.
Part of what makes it so special. Anyway, look, not to linger on the Tevez thing. It's history now. We're both in the Premier League.
Jim, I was really expecting you to have a cardboard cut out of Tevez's face. It's going to go down and come up again.
No, I'm not like
that. Last season, when we came down to play you, was it, or was it when you came to play us? You had the
masks, didn't they?
There were a lot of people with those masks.
That's typical West Ham away fans here, and trying to have a laugh with it.
That's good old East End sense of humour.
Just got to go with it.
So I think just to kind of cap off the thing about the two clubs, though, I think one thing is like, we are sort of in that category of the sort of non-glamorous clubs with quite a passionate support, which I think is always quite a good sort of good company to be in. I mean, my old boss, I remember, supported Nottingham Forest, and he was like, I like West Ham because they remind me of Forest. They're a bit better, but they're also quite shit.
He wouldn't be wrong, though, would he?
I was like, yeah, a bit better. Yeah, all right, mate. Okay, so in terms of like the rest of the season, right? So expectations for you, Callum, for Sheffield United. Sorry, I should almost stopped at just Sheffield then. I know there's more than one. Do you expect to bounce back? Where do you expect to finish?
I think you can have me on at the end of the season if this doesn't go the way, but I don't think we'll be fighting at the bottom. I think we'll be 10th to 15th. Well, I mean, that's basically the bottom. But
no, we understand what you mean. We're used to
in the dogfight when we scrap.
We're used to that end of the table where you just totally disregard everything from 8th up, and the most you could realistically comprehend aiming for is 9th. But even then, that's just fantasy land. So I'm with you, mate.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think we will bounce back, and whether the scoreline presents it or not, I'm hoping we see a really good performance from the Blades this weekend against yourselves. But yeah, I'm hoping we can.
Yeah, I'm hoping the other way. But and what about West Ham? Like, given what you know about the way we flatter to deceive sometimes, but have had a good start to the season, where would you see us finishing?
I don't know. It was almost like we might be switching roles this season. I think you'll definitely seem to be on good form up until, well, I think Christmas always seems to kind of be a changing point in some seasons, doesn't it? So yeah, I think we
usually get to Christmas and we're fighting for relegation. So
it's very true. God, it's always a Christmas present. What
are your thoughts about Sheffield United?
I think they'll finish 12th. I think they just need to get that one win, and they're facing West Ham this weekend. It's that team who has a drought, then they face West Ham, or that striker who has a drought, and then he faces West Ham and he gets a goal. And I think they're just going to get that kind of belief back in together. One thing I've always really loved about Sheffield United is they come up, they're like a unit team. So don't get me wrong, you do get to understand that players, but they're more of a Greece. Do you remember the Greece that won the Euros? And they were just like a team of like workhorses and played together. And that's what they can remind me of. And that's a really nice thing for a team personally. And I think they will, knuckle down. They've got leaders in that team, and they will, pull themselves through it, and they'll get their win. I'm hoping it's not this weekend after, being the West Ham fan, obviously, but you just never know. But I think once they get that point, I think they'll keep it going. And I think obviously, without having the home fans there as well, it's kind of, I think that doesn't, the 12th man element is kind of shame and ain't pushing them on a bit. So it may be like we're, obviously West Ham fans got on the back of the team quite a lot, don't we? If we, play badly or don't run.
We've been known to.
And it's vice versa, I suppose, for Sheffield United fans. So I think kind of missing the element.
Callum, I don't know if you're aware of the legend of West Ham, but yeah, any duck that needs breaking, like, it's us. We will help you. If you haven't had a win, if you've lost the last 10 games, just come and play us and you'll win. If you've signed a new striker and they've not managed to put a single goal in the net, just come and play us.
It's
there you go. Nice, it's in the stars. It's absolutely
someone
in
needs
the
to have
stars.
that role, and I think there's no better candidate than yourself.
Bruce was at West Ham as well, wasn't he? He was at West Ham for a while. He was a youth player there, and I think he's a West Ham fan as well. So
that always bodes badly for us.
Yeah, it does bode badly.
Actual West Ham fan playing against West Ham.
Ain't like he's going to score a few own goals, is it?
No. Oh Christ. Yeah. And so quick, just going back quickly, Rob, to where you think Sheffield United are going to finish. You say 12. Do you think the turnaround's going to be? Do you think the turnaround's going to be based on the new players kind of finding their feet, or going back to the old guard?
I think it will be the old players. I don't know if you change your formation or anything. They may look at that, but I think it will be the old players. I really like McGoldrick up front because I think he's a good link-up player. The only problem you got McGoldrick, what is he, 33 now? But so it's hard for someone that kind of age to last a full 90 minutes, and you've got McBurney up front as well, kind of thing. So you have got kind of players that kind of can mix it up a bit and can do certain things. It's just trying to get that kind of lovely balance back in again, I suppose. And that you play the same formation as us, I think, don't you? Play 3 centre back and wing backs, and then you have O'Connor bring the ball out, don't you? I think that's what the kind of how you the style you play. So we probably will be playing the same. And me and Jim talked the other day about when we played Fulham, and we said if we play the same way, it could go against us, and it kind of did, didn't it, Jim? They kept us for quite a lot, and we was like, we're gonna lose this soon. We don't change it. Lucky for us, we didn't. But
we had no chance to talk about that penalty. But maybe we'll save that for another show. But Jesus Christ! You've read my mind actually, Rob. Because the next question is how to expect to set up. So you've gone straight into it. Please carry on.
Yeah. I think
really good, you are.
I don't, like I said, I think me and Jim have been saying it for ages. I don't think Moyes has got a plan B because I don't think he can have a plan B because we don't have enough depth for a plan B. I think I've heard Antonio.
I don't agree with that though. I don't agree with that, mate. I don't agree.
I don't agree with it either. But
that we don't have the players for to switch to 4-4-2 and have a striker up there supporting someone else up there supporting our lair. Yeah. We could do that.
Oh, I agree with you. I think we do need to change it because I think if we play the same. The only thing we've got for us this weekend, I think, is your midfielder at the big Norwegian chap. Is it Berg?
Well, it's not been confirmed. So obviously, like the whole Norway Health Ministry has basically tried to quarantine them all. I've not heard anything about Berg, but I know the Scottish FA are going to let Christopher Ayer and Mohamed El Nussi, who play for Norway and play for Celtic, they're going to be able to play for Celtic this weekend. Yeah. So I'm hoping Berg's going to be the same because he has been absolutely brilliant this season.
He's a good player. I really wanted him at West Ham. I've been watching him for a while. I watched him play in under 21 game. I just thought, who is this absolutely massive bloke who's about 6'5" in midfield? But we've got the same kind of player in midfield though, in Zucek. We've got like this 6'4", 6'5" bloke, and he's just kind of the same player. Fantastic in his head. He's maybe not as silky on the ball as Berg, but he's definitely the same kind of player. So we got real kind of similarities in our team. But I think one thing that may help us is Antonio up front if he's playing, because he's such a handful and he's just on such good form. He's so strong, he's so fast. We're playing a good counter as well with him. That's if he's playing, and who knows? They keep me very quiet, ain't they, Jim? I've heard nothing about it at the moment.
Yeah, I think they need to be sensible, right, and use Antonio when we need him, and if we can get by without him for a little bit longer, help him heal up. I don't think that's a bad shout. But then what's the alternative? Like we said, you could switch to a 4-4-2, depending on the team we're playing. We should have done against Fulham. We should have had more players up front to pass the ball around, rather than trying to whack them into the box and all the rest of it to one poor fellow on his own, who, let's face it, doesn't play the same way, doesn't run around as much. No. So Rob, then are you saying you're committing to sticking to plan A? That's how you think we're going to set up?
Yeah, well, I think we will commit to it. I don't think I'd start like that personally, but no, I think I'd start like that. But I'd see how the game pans out, and I wouldn't be afraid to change it in the first half if it had to be. Because I think
you ain't David Moyes.
Yeah.
So Callum, you tell us, mate. How would you expect Sheffield United to set up against West Ham?
I think we'll be going back to kind of this season classic 3-5-2. We changed the man set. We had 5 at the back, and to be honest, it was. I think we were the same for Chelsea, or we at least switched it in Chelsea. Like, watching us play against Chelsea was awful. One thing that we do well as a club is we go at them. We don't play like a small team trying to doing damage limitation, but that's how we played against Chelsea. So I'm hoping we're going back to kind of that forward playing football. We're kind of using our strengths. Like you say, we've got some concerns about if Berg's out. John Egan got taken off during the England game with possible concussion, so we're hoping he's going to be available. All these stalwarts. I think we want 2 up the front. Certainly, I want one of them to be McGoldrick. I'd give Brewster a run for the start. I think he just needs a goal to get his confidence. I think he's a really good player. McBurney, playing for Scotland, finally put the ball in the back of the net. I was absolutely screaming, and I won't repeat the words. When he was going up to take one of the pens, I was like, why on earth is Steve putting him up? But he put it in the back of the net. Fair play to him. So he's been lacking confidence all season. He's just got into the box and kind of panicked. And Billy Sharp, as well.
Veteran. 26-year-old Sharp.
That's
a name I've not heard in a while.
Yeah, it's a good player.
A lot of last season, but kind of missing this season. Fan favourite. Whenever he's come on, he's been been as good as ever. So he's another one that I would like to see come on. I think if we're in trouble towards the second half, he's good at rallying the team and driving forward, and has the experience.
He can run for days sharp, can't he? He doesn't play like a 36-year-old. He kind of reminds me of Jamie Vardy, just sort of fast. He's always in the face.
It's a modern thing, isn't it? It's a thing with modern footballers. I think they take such better care of themselves. There's so much more in the kind of sports science thing, and they've got all this new technology. You know, the crazy chambers that like the freeze chamber things they go in to recover their muscles
time
and stuff
machines,
like. But it's amazing, isn't it? How now that players can just go on and on and I think the game's all the better for it. You know, having those quality veterans in teams now.
Sam Allardyce was one of the first people to bring all that to the England game, Jim.
Yes, mate, I know. This isn't the Sam Allardyce Appreciation Society. Shut up. So actually, if you guys set up like that, I think then Plan A for us would be ideal, because that sounds like a really exciting game. Because that's my beef with us, is that our Plan A is to play basically on the counter. So you know, let them have as much of the ball as they like, break and break with speed, with ferocious speed, and slam one in. And that's the problem we've had, I think, in the Fulham game, is we didn't have the personnel to do that in Allaire. And I think there's just lots of like hopeful balls lumped in. So if Antonio is back and we do play to that formation, it sounds like there'll be some action. I look forward to it.
Because you've got Antonio and Bowen, and you've also got Sayed as well, and you've got Fornals as well. You've got them kind of players that can play like that now, can't you? Really, as well.
You've got Masuaku and Kufal as well on the wings, bombing it down. So no, it sounds like an exciting game. So on to the players then. Callum, you first, if you don't mind. So who do you think will be dangerous from each side? So from a Sheffield United perspective, who do you see as your main attacking threat? And from our side, who would be the player you want to watch out for, or the player you'd want to nab if you could?
Right, I'll be honest, I didn't do that much research, so I have no idea who your squad is. So I can't answer the second half of that.
Just say Antonio.
Most people do. Right? Most people do.
Certainly from our side, like you mentioned, David McGoldrick, just keeps going. Kind of a bit older, but got the experience. Scored well. 2 goals for us this season from open play, which is kind of all we've recently managed to do. Brewster, I've written down. Hopefully. In previous games, he's kind of. Some people have seen fresh shoots and kind of hope, but I've not seen too much from him. Again, McBurney seems to be a manager's favourite for some reason, but hopefully, again, he can be quite dangerous when he's in there. Big, tall guy, will jump for the ball from corners. I think at the back, John Egan, Chris Basham, it's kind of solid in the back. George Baldock, a fan favourite of ours. So
we had his brother, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Sam.
Yeah. Sam.
I like
remember the song about Baldock and his sock. Anyway, let's not go. Let's not bring the tone down. So Rob, you unlike myself and Callum, it seems you are someone who keeps an eye on both. Well, on all teams.
I'm a dad. What else have I got to
do? So who's good? You tell us who's going to be dangerous for each side.
I think
who you would nab from Sheffield United if you could.
Well, we are trying to nab someone from Sheffield United. Is it Lundstrom? The midfielder? Yeah, I think we're trying to, because he's out of contract. He's refusing to sign a contract. I think we're going to offer him a contract. So I think we are trying to steal a player already off of Sheffield United. Okay. But I really like Fleck. I think Fleck's a good player. I think he had a lot of assists last season as well. And he's one of them classic, box to box midfielders who will put his foot into anything.
I think he's still injured.
Is he injured?
He got injured on Scotland duty the previous international break.
That's good news for us then, because I was worried about him. I was.
Yeah.
And McGoldrick, I'm a bit worried about. I think if we can mark him closely, let's say, give him a kick, and can I put him off his game? But he's a physical lad though, McGoldrick. He's played in the Championship. He knows it. He's a much better player than I thought he was. If I'm honest, I waited to watch him. I always thought, he had a few good touches, but since he's come to the Premiership, I think it suits him, the Premiership.
It's one thing I really like seeing actually is Championship players coming up and just
it's
going,
the
do
best
you
thing
know
ever
what?
for me.
I know what I'm good at, and I'm going to work my bollocks off. So seeing like Bowen come up, Cresswell came up from the Championship, Antonio came for the Championship. Our best players
Bowen
probably all came from the Championship.
Yeah, Fabianski come from Swansea for the Championship. So I think I think they're kind of the players we got to worry about. But like I've said before, I think the thing to worry about Sheffield United is they're a team. But I think every team's a team. Do you know what I mean? But they're a workhorse team. They're a team that just keep going, and they want to play for them. And that's the kind of team you want in a situation like this. And I think they'll really, really come out the traps running, real, go for it in the first 20 minutes. And I think one thing we've got to do is kind of hold out about 20 minutes, and then I think we can hopefully get into the game, personally. That's how I see it happening. But I've been wrong totally loads of times this season. West Ham have been very unpredictable, if I'm honest.
So let's assume, mate, that Antonio is out still, because otherwise, most dangerous player for us is probably, it's easy to say it's going to be him.
I think Milenko is that as well.
Oh yeah, of course he is. Yeah. So who would you want to see kind of put on a show for this particular fixture?
Do you know what? I think I may even play Bowen up front, and play with Saeed and on the left, and I'd have Fornals on the right, just to use that pace. And then I might bring Heller in because has he gone to Africa this week as well to play for Ivory Coast?
Is that already upon us?
Yeah, well, no, they've qualified now.
Not the tournament, but...
No, yeah. So he's played 2 games from there. So he's going to be flying back from there. So he's going to be quite tired, I think. So I think I'd bring him on because he can be a good player when he comes on. Because, what is he, 6'4"? He's fantastic on his head. He's got good feet, but he's got no pace. And he hasn't got much of a work rate, if I'm honest. And I think it's the kind of lackadaisical kind of attitude in him that puts a lot of people off. He's got that kind of arrogant look about him sometimes, and that frustrates me. You want someone who's just going to, just run, and close down. And he's not that kind of player. He's the kind of player that expects the ball to come to him and he'll do something with it. But he can do something with it. We just haven't seen it. So
Callum, first goal scorer and the scoreline for this weekend.
I'm going to say McGoldrick, and I'm going to be quite boring and say 1-0 Sheffield United.
Hey, look, if it's right, then it's not going to be boring. It's going to be genius.
It'll be genius, yeah. But yeah, it's going to be one of those games. It's going to be hopefully 1-0, or it's going to be like a goal fest. I mean, there's obviously 2 teams that are kind of similar positions that just want to kind of go and play football, really.
Oh, Rob, someone come into your room. Is it like that scene from that news reporter where that kid comes in and the nanny appears and just starts, hello!
Who's going to win this weekend, Aubrey? She just whispered 3-1 West Ham, and she said Fornals to score the first goal.
Wow, that's some prediction. That's a lot of insight for how old is she?
3. Do you know I sing? Do you know I sing West Ham songs to her to get her to sleep?
Can you get her to sing us one now for the video?
Can you sing over blowing bubbles? I forever blowing bubbles. Right, baby, go and see Mummy.
Sure.
I feel like that interviewer. Do you know when the kid runs in?
Yeah,
he's trying to talk to London Tonight, wherever it was.
That's literally what I said, but never mind. Now I feel like Guy Goma.
Speaking of forever blowing bubbles, right? On Spotify, you get like kind of a Discover Weekly playlist where it puts random stuff. Well, it obviously notices that I listen to some football songs for clubs I support, but it keeps trying to put forever blowing bubbles in that playlist for me, and it's really annoying.
Someone at Spotify is having an absolute laugh with you, mate.
It's not as if it gets like clubs, like it just goes any football song. No, it's just forever blowing bubbles.
I think that just goes to prove that it is the best and most popular one. So we've got 1-0 to the Blades, or 3-1 to West Ham. What am I going to go for? I'm going to say 2-0 West Ham. I think I've gone really high and really low. I'm going to go quite in the middle now. 2-0. And then probably going to be proved wrong. We'll probably lose now.
But who's going to score then, Jim?
Ooh, Yes. So you're saying, trying to think now. So you're saying some of the players have already gone off for friendlies leading up to the Africa Cup of Nations. So is Ben Rama about?
Yeah, he is. He played for Algeria as well.
He did, yeah. But is he back? Like,
yeah,
selection?
He's back. Yeah, he got 2
Ben,
assists.
I reckon he's going to get a start, and I reckon he's going to make the most of it and score.
Good stuff.
Heard it here first. Okay, right. Well, before we sign off, Callum, is there anything you want to plug? Do you want anyone to know your Twitter and Insta or anything like that for a follow?
I mean, if you want to follow me for occasional tweets about Sheffield United, Celtic, and the steel industry, follow at Callum_2.
The steel industry. There you go. Have you got any steel lovers out there? And Rob, yours. Yeah. We've never done this before, so I'm just putting it on you. Do you want to give your socials out for your Twitter?
Oh, my Twitter. My Twitter is Zombish. It is. Yeah, so it is Zombish, isn't it? I don't actually know. I've never been asked. Zombish at Twitter.
What's the spelling on that?
It's ZOMBISH. My last name's Bish, and so I like.
And he loves zombies.
And zombies. So someone met me, Rob, you're a Zombish. So I was like, it was my catch, and I was like, all right, I'm going to nick that. So I've had it for years.
There you go. Hopefully your timelines will be flooded with follow requests.
Love me, everyone. Love me.
We'll probably check in with you, Callum, after the weekend and see what the result is. And if you wouldn't mind sending us a little message for the next pod, just either you could just be pure laughter or swearing or whatever you like. But we'll check in with you after the next game. But thanks very much for joining us. Good luck for the season, but not for the weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
And for everyone else, catch you all next time.
Come on, you Irons.
Bye. Bye.
Jazz hands.